Ready? So ladies and gents, we are here. The moment we've all been leading up to. It is the finals, guys. It's none other than Mattgia versus Funky How. One of these guys, as we just said, will be a newly crowned champion, guys.
Absolutely, Funky How, a monster, and I mean it has to be pointed out, right? That you don't just pick Nestle and win. You still have to know what you're doing with it. I mean, it's the natural law, right? And if you're good with a particular tem or strategy, you will win with that tem and strategy. And Funky How just proving that he is versatile. Madrid and Nestle on the same team, and Gazuma. I mean, your wind temps be damned. Your wind and water temps be damned. You will not get your say in the fight.
Alright, so Funky How does indeed bring out that Valash. And you know, we didn't see any of those crystal pressures coming out from that semifinals, but Funky How is having them on his team. So Valash is available to pick up, but goes with the Valash to start things off. How does Mattgia want to respond? He has been leaning forward to, the toxic start with a toxic move synergy, something like the Eurosoap from the Mashuk. So pretty good start for Mattgia. Mashuk is a solid counter to the Valash, but the Keen is a solid pick against the Mashuk, right? 2x damage from things like Beta Burst, and of course you get that proc early on the Valash, so keeping it rather safe.
Exactly, and I don't think Funky How will be thinking about picking up the Gaialis here, as Valash is already chosen Tem for opening. And the best part about this Valash opening is that you can double madness buff here if you wanted to. Obviously, Urushiol may be a threat, but it's still... Urushiol can only do so much, especially if your enemy Tem heals to full regardless.
For sure. And Blue, you and your double madness buff, let's see if it's gonna go down. I want to see it now that you keep saying it. The double madness buff for the win. I mean, it's risky, right? It's really risky. You go all the way down at 50%. So, you know, 2 uppercuts. Say the Mashuk just did 2 uppercuts. It is physical damage. So, not going to be safe from the madness buff. So, possibly just a single one. But, guys, we do get the one and only, the Nestle on the pick. Funky How bringing it out and rounding out his team with Gialis, guys. So here we go. Game 1 of our finals. It's going to be Valash and Kinu. So good start versus Nidrasil and Mashuk.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Protector buff applied on the Valash, and let's get the party started. An uppercut on the Valash into a Toxic Ink would be a nice opening to punish, but then Revitalize comes in next turn. On top of maybe already softened Mashuk. Remember, Kinu can beta burst into, of course, the spikes of Valash, and suddenly Valash is A-okay in the second turn. You have to consider your options.
Yeah, very true. So we will see. I mean, more than likely, Funky does want to go with that with that madness buff. But we'll see. I'm curious here if he wants to keep in Kinu to try to go into the Mashuk slot, because it does come at the expense of getting a Toxic Ink to the face of the Kinu, right? But then it kind of leaves the Valash kind of not dealing too much damage, right? The Mashuk at best can get a good old perfect jab to try to set up for things like the uppercut. But let's see. Turn 1 is always so important.
Valash is swapped up for Funky How, actually. Decides not to go against it and brings out the Mashuk, who is ready to take any beating that it was intended for the Valash. A very smart play, a very safe play against a long con team such as the one that Mattgia is running. The punch does literally nothing, and that's what you get with running a Mashuk tank. Toxic Ink, though, gonna make sure to punish the Kinu, but Snare also catches the Nidrasil.
Yeah, we did see from those previous games, it was that energy drink. So now with that information, Funky How can be, can use that to his advantage. Can actually use the hypnosis here. I mean, we saw how much the Beta Burst did. It took it all the way to 65%. So that is a good 35% damage. So that's about as that's as much as it's gonna do the next turn. So obviously not guaranteeing a kill. But still, damage on the Mashuk is damage on the Mashuk. You want to get him out of this game as soon as you can.
swap out here for the Valorant into Turbo Choreography, just setting up a very high DPS Valorant down the line, especially against the Mashuk. Beta Burst is thrown out to just continue pressuring even more and more this Mashuk, now at 30%. Uppercut is traded into the Valorant, does more than the previous uppercut, but a perfect jab may have been better there for Funky How just to set up down the line, but decided to just go straight into it.
Yeah, I think Funky How realizing that not a lot of pressure was coming to Kinu, probably because he just read that a turbo choreography play was most likely the line of play for Mattgia, so really good understanding of the situation for Funky. And yeah, keeping Kinu in here regardless, you know, Ninja could have got the kill, but of course Mattgia keeping it in, but no, the cage is going to be keeping the entire board in for this turn and the following one. Kinu's trap, so Noxious Bomb, oh, so Hyperkinetic Strike onto the Mashuk, taking it down, yeah, taking it low.
Doing devastating amounts of damage. Kinu was meant to swap out, so we couldn't get an attack off of Mashuk, but Mashuk has overexerted and decided SnrPlat, and is also low enough for Beta Burst to shut him out. So I'm not sure if that was the right strategy, but SnrPlat will guarantee a kill on the Kinu at least next turn if that was the intention, or may try to take off the Mashuk. Kinu will actually go down here because Noxious Bomb is way faster than the Beta Burst, and unfortunately that means the Mashuk on the side of SnrPlat will run home free, as the opposing side, the enemy Mashuk, is throwing up uppercuts. Does Funky How not run perfect jab on his Mashuk?
Yeah, really interesting. I was just about to comment on that, Blue. There's a little bit slightly different strategy than we're used to seeing for most Mashuks. We usually are used to seeing things like a double perfect jab, get that -2 defense. But yeah, for Funky How, we're just getting back-to-back uppercuts. That is 3 uppercuts onto that Vulnerable slot. I wouldn't be surprised based off a little bit of the playstyle we're seeing from Monkey. He might be running the Inner Spirit, guys. Inner Spirit on Mashuk potentially coming out. I'm not too sure. We haven't seen it on tournament. But Crystal Spike, is it enough to take down the Mashuk? Yes, it is. Down he goes.
Gets a cleanup solid there, but Valash again, you still have not Madness buffs on Valash, and that's what I'm concerned about. Toxic Plume applies, and that's not very good, as Poison Ticks will be big, especially on the Valash. And another uppercut. I'm just really surprised to see no perfect jab.
Yeah, so much uppercuts. That is 4 uppercuts back to back into that Valorant slot. But man, little by little, just whittling that Valorant down. That is just one more final uppercut, and the Valorant will be going down. So SnrPlat most likely realizing that, thinking about a solid switch there.
Yeah, the Mashuk still has stamina on Funky How's side, so we might see that. And Madness buff again is probably the best choice here for Funky How for his Valash. Yes, Hyperkinetic can come out, so but like the longer this goes, the more you have a Valash who hasn't applied anything yet. And I mentioned this beforehand, right? Like way back in the tournaments. If you have 2 sweepers and you set up neither of them, you just have 2 Tems that are squishy for no apparent reason. Scavenger buff applies. That overexertion to Hyperkinetic, the Valash was a bit wasted there, because now Valash just heals and gets a free Madness buff off. Uppercut connects again, as it does not seem Funky How runs perfect jab. When burst does land, a Valash goes into the red zone.
Yeah, perhaps just thinking you could take down the Valash there. Didn't want to, you know, focus down the Mashuk because of that scavenger proc. But the overexertion pretty much did exactly like taking down the Mashuk. So maybe taking down the Mashuk was more the better line of play. However, as you said, Blue, the Valash is in the red. It's at 25%. It hasn't, oh wait, no, it just Madness buff. So Tornado might not be enough. But Funky keeping it safe here. Out comes the Nessa, the one and only. Let's see how much is going to perform here in front of that Ninja and the Saku.
Ooh, Lucio connects. Tornado, the lens on the Nesla is fine with that. Allergic Spread is thrown out though. Will punish the Nesla for being in, but Chain Lightning could potentially just heal up the Nesla right away.
You think we got a Chain Lightning? I mean, usually I would assume for PvP purposes the Hydro trait a little bit better. but that is for water attacks. I'm not too sure water attacks are going to be coming into play here. But either way, we will find out. Funky just full of surprises, but not anything to do with this toxic ink. It will be going down from this poison tick. Okay, strangle. But it's not going to work as it does go down, so won't be strangled for the following turn.
Huh.
So I do think we're going to get... Okay, it's going to be the Mashuk here.
A lot of interesting strategies here from Funky How. I'm not sure what that strangle was meant to do there.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we keep saying, you know, hindsight 2020. You don't know exactly the play your opponent wanted to do, but you know, thinking from his perspective, of course, that Gyalis was a Valash, right? And the Nessa went down. That would have been another scavenger buff, but I don't think he wanted to take the risk of potentially, you know, he would have gone into that right slap. And Valash could have gone down there, so just brought out the Gyalis. Is still at 100%, so solid pick. But I think Funky How is thinking, how can he try to heal up this Valash once more? It is a madness buff, so it can carry the game if it gets a little bit more scavenger procs.
SnrPlat swaps out the Saku, brings out the Platymus. Platymus is, of course, much more solid in this situation, but Toyo Choreography actually going to speed up the Gyalis at least one tick of overexertion. Is forced out of the Mashuk, but the heat up is there, and this is the magnum opus. There's a Valash and a Gyalis who have applied their buffs, but the raising of the Mark Shield nullifies Gyalis' buff instantly there.
I mean, really good play from Mattgia. I mean, the heat up on the Gyalis, but you get the +2 defense on both of these tanks, the Nidraso and the Platymus, so could be coming into play there, trying to nullify or mitigate that damage coming out from the Gyalis, as it's mostly actually all physical pressure, right?
Absolutely. Right now.
And I'm actually curious, maybe he thought, you know, Saku most likely had things like a Wind Burst to try to take down Mashuk, but instead of switching out, let's see what was it for.
Crystal Bite comes out, but you can already see how the Mark Shield has affected his own defenses. Mashuk will take an Aquatic Whirlwind to the face, just securing that kill. Instead of going for the Gyalis, another Mashuk pick off does occur. But Valash now comes out, and you have the double trouble on the field. Unfortunately, Valash much less so healthy in a scenario where you have, you know, damage coming from Platymus as well. So Crystal Spikes into Haito may be a good idea, or if Funky wants to agree this, a double heat up would be a bit risky, but if Valash is gonna go down, securing something would be nice. It's just in an interesting spot. He's two sweepers, and you would assume these two sweepers would carry the game, but they're not very healthy, and they're the only two Tems left here for Funky.
Yeah, and besides the health, I mean, Gyalis obviously at 100, but in terms of stamina, not looking too good. Only going to be able to get off one more attack, so Sharp Stab, perhaps followed by this Crystal Spike Madness buff, is definitely going to be enough. 0 it goes, so that's one scavenger proc, so not looking too bad for Funky How. Let's see what the Platymus wanted to do.
Sharp Rain connects on the Valash, will do as much damage as possible, and this is the big exclamation mark I have. Aquatic Whirlwind is now available for Platymus. I don't think SnrPlat minds to overexert here on the side for the Platymus just to get this Valash kill. Gyalis is out of stamina. Hatauchi will do a lot. Crystal Spikes will actually connect on the Saku, trying to focus it down. It actually drops to 50% HP. Crystal Bite will come out as well. It's really fast. Platymus not even gets a chance to respond. The Saku goes down, which means the Valash gets a heal, which means the Platymus will not get a shutdown. Gyalis overexerts just to save Valash's life, and Platymus overexerts to try and go all in, but Valash is too fast, and so is the Gyalis. Talk about sweepers, the Fast and the Furious. Platymus does not get that kill and concedes. Unstoppable in a sense. They were, I mean, they backed each other up very nicely. If Valash and Gyalis did not team up to make sure they both survived there, that could have been a completely different game. If Valash went down, Gyalis was doomed. And fortunately for Funky How, was able to maintain these strong sweepers at the end fight, just get pick off after pick off.
Yeah, and you know what made the difference? It was a little bit of unconventional play. It was like, wait, the Machoke doing a turbo choreography on the Gialis, okay, but it actually did come in effect. Gialis was indeed able to outspeed the Saku. Saku perhaps did have Tornado, but Saku not the fastest Temtem in the world. So Gialis indeed one of the fastest Temtems. So even with just a 2 prio move with that +1 turbo was enough to outspeed it, and coming in clutch, gonna get the victory for Funky How. But you know what? Nesla just might be for the cheese. I don't even know if he's utilizing it. I think any Temtem in that position, Funky How would make work. But it's just nice to see Nesla, period, in a competitive setting. But Jesus, look at that, Blue. This is one way to start a game off. Gialis paired with the Valash. We're trying to just go hard in the paint with some damage. Of course, Gialis just has to chill just for one turn with that heat up, though.
I mean, this is the. I mean, we've seen this before in previous tournaments. This is what I like to call "what are you gonna do about it" strat, where you basically put 2 sweepers and you say, "What are you gonna do about it?" I'm gonna heat up and I'm gonna madness buff. What are you gonna do about it? I will one-shot your attempts. What are you gonna do about it?
Very true.
SnrPlat, I'm sure, is racking his brain trying to figure out what he decides. I'll just tank them, and that is a valid response. But obviously that allows Funky How to run this "what are you gonna do about it" strat, because then he's gonna get a free madness buff and a free heat up, and then Funky How can swap into a Machoke and a Kinu, or a Machoke and a Madrid, or a Machoke and a Gazuma, and then Funky How can just say, you know, he can just call back later.
Yeah, so banning the Machoke, banning the Platymus, so only gonna have one of those tanks, but it leaves open the bad boy tank, the Valorant, the Volorant. Mattgia just gonna pick up the Yukama. Still a solid pick, still a solid answer to try to deal with the Gialis and the Yukama. Sorry, the Gialis and the Valash there. But yeah, Blue, it kind of leaves that double setup pretty open. The pig's not gonna be doing a whole lot in the very first turn. And Nidrasil, the best it got right now is a Toxic Ink or a Spores to try to add those ticks of poison. So we could be seeing the good old madness buff followed by the heat up. But either way, we are in game 2. We could have it decided right here. Is Funky How gonna make things just super easy, gonna get the victory, or is Mattgia not trying to go down too easy, trying to make things to go to game 3? Either way, we're crowning a very new champion in this tournament. So I know they both are hungry for the prize.
Exactly. Heat up into the madness buff. Actually, again, this is what I'm concerned about. SnrPlat falls for the bait, which is to spread out the damage, because if they're both low, then obviously later down the line they'll be weak. No, they're both set up already, which means if they double up on something, it will die. Crystal Spikes connect and almost kills the big epic, but that's what Sharp Stabs is for, and this is why you do not let this happen. This is why you double up and threaten these sweepers, because yes, the Fainted Curse hits, but the Valash is coming awake. He closed his eyes for a turn, and once it woke back up, you woke up the beast.
Woke up the beast indeed. Valash literally almost one-shot the pig epic. You didn't even need the sharp stab, but the sharp stab was for just good riddance. 1.4% remaining on the pig, so absolutely insane stuff coming out from that Valash. And now any Temtem coming out here is not safe whatsoever. I mean, Yukama does have a good old water cannon, both for the 3, you know, Gialis just used a sharp stab. But no 3 prior moves besides that Crystal Spike from the Valash. So another double up here. Another double up could be doing exactly what we just saw in turn 1. However, Gialis is dangerously low now. He chose to eat the Fainted Curse with the Gialis there.
And that is intended, because the point is that if you focus Valash, Gialis will be alive enough to deal their damage. And if you do focus Gialis, you heal Valash. So you are damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you kill Valash now, then yes, you prevent this longevity play, but the burst damage is so much, you're gonna get doubled up again. This Okama's just dead. There's nothing you can do about it. The Gialis is getting pick off. Valash is a support. I'm sorry, Gialis is a support in this situation. And finally will be hit with Spores, guarantees its death, but 2 deaths instantly. And yes, the Valash is low, but low for how long?
Yeah, Valash is low. I mean, low is stamina, pretty much it. But dude, the double is so insane. This combo, the 1-2 combo, I'm seeing a little bit in chat. They're saying it's the Funky How special. He's showing it how freaking strong it truly is. Just the pure aggro strat. Absolutely insane stuff coming out. And actually, Gialis outspeeding the Yukama there. So not your speedy Yukama.
Exactly. I mean, this is such a devastating face check. I'm sure SnrPlat is shook after that opening. Again, what you gonna do about it?
And very well said, Blue. What are you gonna do about it? I mean, Gialis is taken out of the equation, but you still got the crazy Valash on the back burner. If he chooses to retreat it, he does got a final crystal spike if he wants to go out and overexert with it. But maybe, I mean, you could retreat it for the time being, just bringing it a little bit down the road. You haven't used any of your other Temtems remaining. It's just literally been these 2 Temtems since the very first turn, and they've already taken down 2 Tems on Mattgia's side.
I mean, what's terrifying about this is the fact that Gialis can overexert and kill itself to heal the Valash, and that's perfectly okay. Crystal Spikes connect, and it drops the Ninja Soul half to below 50.
The double!
It doesn't do enough. It doesn't do enough. Relax. It does sacrifice the Gialis and heals the Valash, and that's what's important. Lifeful Sap applies on the Saku. He does not want to get bursted to death, and Bark Shield to protect itself, but Ninja Soul's already so low, and Valash doesn't do physical damage, baby. He does special attack.
Yeah, absolutely, but wait a minute, that Ninja Soul has to be highly defense focused because the Hidouchi did not do as much as I would have thought. Most Ninja Souls are kind of more special defense, but even before the Bark Shield was intact, right, before the Bark Shield was deployed, the Hidouchi did nothing. Let's take a look. So yeah, Bark Shield wasn't deployed. That is a heavy defense focused Ninja Soul there. It would have usually gone down there.
Hot take, swap out the Valash. Once Kinu is low, swap Valash back in and sacrifice him. And I would not...
Oh, you think so, Blue? You think we're gonna get a sacrifice on the Kinu? That'd be insane.
Yeah. Oh my, we might actually see that. The Nesla does come back out with the Kinu here to set up maybe a second round play. SnrPlat does not risk the Ninja Shield going out. Volarant comes in and will have to try and set up ASAP before this Valash comes back with an arsenal. Beta Burst connects on the Volarant, will do a little bit of damage, but the Volarant will be fine. Urushio connects on the Kinu, but if Kinu has sacrificed, that is the worst target to Urushio, as Snare connects on the Saku.
Yeah, I think Nestle here is just kind of used as a placeholder to not take enough damage on his backline Tem. So Hypnosis is going to be hitting Saku there. So down he goes. This Volarant, any target that he hits is going to be doing effective damage. So down to 57% the Nestle goes. Let's see what it did. A little Tesla prison onto the Volarant. Anaerobic Volarant not going to be taking too much damage from that though.
The important part is the speed down. The slower this Volarant gets, the more opportunities Funky How has to put it to sleep. And now it is in fact slower than Kinu, which means Hypnosis is potentially possible. There's still a Mashuk in the back. There's so many threats. There's so much danger in the situation. Let's see if SnrPlat is able to bring himself back out. I mean, after that initial shenanigan with a double what you gonna do about a strat, SnrPlat can still bring this back. It is absolutely not over.
Yeah, it's essentially these final 2 Temtems, so the Volarant and the Saku, because the Ninja Soul in the back just chilling at about 9% health, gets one shot by pretty much anything Funky How would throw at it. So if he's able to take down any of these Tems currently on the board, it's going to be looking close to impossible for Mattgia. But never say never. I know Mattgia is still going to be going for it.
Yeah, throws in the Mashuk one more time here. With the Nesla, Saku swap out will come out. Ninja Soul will be in as well. We will see how this goes. The Tesla Prison connects. The Volarant is getting slower and slower. The special defense is raising, but the speed is going down. This Mashuk might just stay in as well and just do some uppercuts. The Noxious Bomb connects. And this Nesla
Yeah, I had just switched in from Kinu, but yeah, now for sure has a good uppercut. We saw how much it did the previous turn, so just uppercut. But actually, you know, Nessa doing a little bit of work here. Got 2 Tesla prisons off onto the Volan, despite it being anaerobic, that +2 special defense, keeping it a little bit better at, you know, keeping it at bay in terms of HP. But yeah, as we said, uppercut on the Nigersoul, so literally down to the final 2 Temtems for Mattgia. And there we go, Nestla coming through with 3 Tesla prisons, taking the bird down to 30% health.
Toxic Plume lands though, picks off the Nestla, but this Volan is now the slowest thing in this game. And yes, it has 3 stages of special defense, but this Valash is back out. I mean, Gaialis is dead, but the second half of this combo is still alive and kicking, and Saku does not have any natural special defense raised, and with the Mashuk here, I'm curious to see how Funky How plays this, because Valash isn't in a position to be, you know, to be running around. If the Valash gets picked off, it'll be a bit dangerous, but Crystal Spikes come out, and the Volan still takes so much damage. That is insane. Uppercut comes out as well. 1-2 punch again. Who needs Gaialis when you have a Mashuk that does the same thing? As Scavenger buff heals, Tornado comes out, but there's a 3 special defense stage in the Valash that barely did enough to bring it back down to its level.
And man, the Saku, even with the 3 prio Tornado, the Mashuk with no speed increase actually outsped the 3 prio from Saku. That just goes to show you how slow Saku is, unless of course Funky How has a little bit of speed invested on Mashuk. I'm not too sure. Mashuk naturally pretty fast, I think with the 50 SVs right around 99 speed. But yeah, not even that 50% increase in the prio got the job done. So yeah, not gonna
Spikes again for Saku.
Seriously, it's looking too grim for Mattgia. 1 overexertion from the Valash. 1 crystal spike from this raid boss. Valash is gonna be all she wrote. I think we might be crowning ourselves a brand new champion in the house. So crystal spike, we saw it did over 50%, and just like that, it is Funky How, the winner, the first place winner of this weekly tournament number 4, guys. Hype in the chat, and GG all around to everyone that